The Yukari Law, also known as the Red Strings of Science, was enacted by the Japanese government in 1975 in an alternate dystopian universe in order to combat low birth rates. It established a system that is said to promote happiness based on genetics, in which case citizens will be notified by the government of who they will marry once they turn 16 years old. Romantic relationships outside of their match are prohibited. The system reportedly produced a more intelligent generation of kids over time while stabilizing the nation's birth rate. Yukari Nejima, a high school student, refuses to follow this order in the face of this unsettling reality. Since their elementary school days, Nejima has been secretly in love with Misaki Takasaki and can only look on in admiration. One of his friends, Daiki Takeda, starts acting strangely and talks about living for love as they are in their homeroom. Yusuke Nisaka informs Nejima that their friend is in a panic because he just received his notice and will soon meet his future wife. Takeda, especially Nejima, can relate to his vow that he won't wed someone he doesn't love. Takeda gathers his friends and makes a firm decision that none of them will ever get married. Takasaki shocks them by participating in the chant. The way they enthusiastically greet her astounds Nejima. Takeda is only enraged about his own situation as a result of the boys' discussion of Takasaki and her prospective husband. Nejima considers that he doesn't want anything to do with the system despite the happiness and future it promises as he lies in bed. He desires a love affair with Takasaki. Then he recalls how the two of them used to sit next to each other in elementary school 5 years prior. She was battling with a tiny pencil eraser when the boy noticed her, but he was too shy to offer his. It was already the 5th period when he finally worked up the courage to give her half of his eraser. Young Nejima fell for Takasaki with those few soft thank yous she uttered. The other half of the eraser is something he keeps because it serves as a reminder of their one and only encounter. Nejima's parents discuss his upcoming 16th birthday while they are having dinner with the family. In just 2 days, they are excited to meet his future spouse and say he might receive his notice soon. Nejima can only listen in horror because Takasaki is the only man he wants to wed. There isn't much time left, so he must tell Takasaki about his feelings tomorrow as he lies in bed. The next morning, Takasaki hears Nejima calling out to her in the school hallway and asking if she has any free time. Her friends depart, assuming it must be yet another confession. Nejima introduces himself and informs the woman that they were once classmates in elementary school. Takasaki displays confused behavior and displays memory loss. Nejima is shocked and left speechless at that. He apologizes and tells Takasaki that there is nothing to talk about when she asks what he wants to discuss, and the girl then turns away. Nejima is miffed that Takasaki isn't able to recall what he views as a special memory. He yells at her to meet him tonight at the park behind their elementary school, refusing to give up after that. He says he'll be waiting as the girl turns to face him. Takasaki is running late. It is now after 6 o'clock, and Nejima imagines it is because she is anxious and can't control her heart. Go touch some grass, boy. Oh wait, he already has. Takasaki still hasn't arrived despite a lot of time having passed. Nejima is undoubtedly devastated, it's safe to say. He diverts himself by creating ancient tombs in the sandbox at the playground. When a police officer on patrol notices him, he graciously advises the boy to return home because it is already very late. Before starting to walk away, Nejima pauses to think. But just as he turns to leave, Takasaki shows up and abruptly stops him. Takasaki notices the sand sculptures Nejima has made as they sit on the park bench. The boy begins rambling like a history nerd as he is still processing her abrupt appearance. Takasaki chuckles at the man's chatter and claims nothing has changed. She remembers his fervent presentation about ancient graves from when they were in elementary school. Nejima is surprised that the girl remembered, so the girl apologizes and says she lied. Instead of asking why she lied, he is distracted by her beauty as he prepares to do so. Nejima tells Takasaki everything he underwent in order to be able to be with her. He immediately tells Takasaki that he likes her. Nejima becomes alarmed when the girl begins to sob unexpectedly. If she doesn't cry, he doesn't care if he is rejected. Takasaki interrupts him as he attempts to uplift her by revealing that she has kept the eraser he gave her and admitting that she shares his sentiments. Nejima, who is speechless, hugs Takasaki and declares his love for her and desire for an eternal union. They immediately share a passionate kiss after that. The sound of Nejima's phone breaks up their passionate exchange. The young man glances down and notices the matchmaking notification as well as the fact that it is already midnight and his birthday. Before his phone runs out of battery, he reads the distorted message and recognizes Takasaki's name. When 2 government representatives enter the room and greet him, he's just about to tell her about it. They're here to give Nejima the official document, but when he looks it over, he discovers a different name, Ririna Sanada. He tells them about the text notice, but they say that since the documents are absolute, it must be an error. Happy birthday wishes are given to Nejima by Takasaki when the officials depart. She admits to him that she didn't really intend to come but is grateful for the opportunity to spend one special night with him. She clings to his wrists and sobs, saying she could live off this memory for the rest of her life. When Nejima notices Takasaki's hands trembling, she calls out her lie, but Takasaki flees. He comes up behind her and envelops the girl in his arms as she sobs. After a few days, Nejima's parents have already set up a meeting with the family of his chosen wife. He attends school on the day of the meeting because he hasn't spoken to Takasaki since the evening of his birthday. He proudly informs his bewildered classmates that he left the meeting early, and they are terrified. He is then taken to the guidance office where his teacher gives him a speech. Takasaki visits him when he is by himself to talk to him. Nejima says that he wants to talk to the two of them because he wants to be clear that his feelings are genuine. Takasaki claims she intended to keep what they previously had, and she finds his behavior offensive. Nejima is devastated when she tells him to go see his wife. Nejima attends the meeting after suffering one emotional setback. He saddeningly enters the meeting room without extending a greeting. He's caught off guard when he sees that his assigned wife, Ririna Sanada, is a very pretty girl. The gloomy Nejima keeps quiet as the families take their sweet time getting to know one another. Ririna observes his actions but continues to speak to his parents in a cordial manner. She snaps at him for being rude and not even trying to show interest in her after not receiving a response from him. Before leaving the room, Ririna declares that she will not wed an obnoxious and impolitic boy like Nejima. Prior to Nejima's father suggesting that his son pursue Ririna, their parents apologize to one another. Nejima walks around looking for his designated wife while berating himself for being impolite and careless. He carelessly places his hand on a door, and it opens up to reveal Ririna. The girl motions for him to be quiet and drags him into the tiny room as he wobbles. Accidentally, Nejima topples Ririna. The boy quickly leaves her after noticing their impolite position, and the girl sobs that she is unfit for marriage. When Ririna has recovered, she confides in Nejima that she fears getting married. However, she remains here out of respect for the circumstance, only to discover that her prospective spouse is terrible. Ririna tells Nejima he doesn't need to go so far as long as he is aware of his error after he kneels to apologize. Nejima explains that the reason he was dozing off was because the girl he had liked for a long time broke his heart. He is asked by Ririna to elaborate on the girl he likes. Ririna unexpectedly expresses her excitement about how romantic their story is after telling her about Takasaki. He responds to her innocent question about his love by saying that it's a fun emotion that makes him happy even to see Takasaki smile. He looks away because Ririna is leaning toward him and he sees that one of her shirt buttons is missing. Ririna offers him her assistance in determining Takasaki's true emotions. When they get back, the two decide to act like they've reconciled, but the act is ruined when Nejima sneakily informs Ririna that she has an open button. Ririna asks Nejima to meet her at school the following day. She hasn't been responding to his texts, which worries him when he gets there. When he inquires about Ririna Sanada from some passing girls, they giggle and refer to her as Sanadamashi, which means tapeworm. During PE, they claim she felt sick. They point Nejima in the direction of the hospital. When Nejima enters the hospital, she discovers Ririna dozing in the sleeping quarters. She is awakened by his presence and requests that he leave because she needs to change. Ririna suddenly swings the curtains, exposing her undies, and asks him frantically where he heard that name. Nejima asks her about the nickname Sanadamashi while she waits behind the curtains. They sit on the bed once Ririna has calmed down, but she is unaware that she is still not wearing her skirt. Ririna explains to him that when she was younger, she struggled to fit in at school because of a complicated illness. Nejima reassures her, Sanadamashi is just not a pretentious girl. That's why she's called Sanadamashi. He agrees when she says it's basically being awkward in social situations, and Ririna punches him. He expresses his happiness that they are conversing normally. She is literally without pants, and that she's like an open book, making conversation with her simple. He is the first person to tell her that, she tells him. When Ririna becomes aware of her clothing, she is already getting ready to leave the room. Nejima flinches, but it's too late, he receives a slap. Nejima queries Ririna about her motivations for meeting as they approach the entrance to her school. She informs him that she is interested in learning more about his romance with Takasaki. While his fiancé is speaking animatedly, Nejima startlingly notices Takasaki outside the gates. Before Nejima can react, Ririna has left for Takasaki after he diverts her attention to his first love. Ririna introduces herself to the girl as Nejima's designated wife right away. Nejima is secretly listening to Takasaki and Ririna as they have a conversation in a diner. Before asking Takasaki about her feelings, Ririna clarifies that she has none for her fiancé. The latter begins to talk enthusiastically about the qualities she enjoys about Nejima and expresses her joy at having someone to discuss her feelings for the boy. After hearing everything Takasaki has to say, Ririna declares that being in love is wonderful. Takasaki tells Ririna that she had fun and would like to hang out again as they part ways. Ririna sobs as the girl departs. As Nejima emerges from hiding, he notices and worries when he hears her answer. She recently made a new friend, which makes her happy. Her heart is pumping quickly. Is she in love with her? When she hears that, Nejima panics and explains that it's not the same kind of love that would make her heart happy after a smooch. Ririna orders Nejima to kiss Takasaki once per day after figuring out that he had already done so. What? Since he received his notice, a week has already passed. It appears that Takasaki and Nejima are once again strangers. Ririna extends an invitation to spend the weekend at her home in the meantime. He is welcomed by Ririna and her mother when he arrives. The mother of the girl teases her after she reprimands him for being late, assuming that she is happy to see Nejima. She giggles and advises the three of them to enjoy themselves after her daughter warns her not to enter her room later. What's going on? 3. Nejima is shocked to see Takasaki inside when Ririna opens the door to her room. The short-haired girl says to Ririna that she's leaving for home, but the latter responds that she had the idea to invite him because Takasaki and Nejima's recent conversation was enjoyable. Although they are assigned partners, Ririna reiterates that she is unlikely to fall in love with the boy and that they won't get married anytime soon. Initially reluctant, Takasaki eventually gives in and invites Nejima to hang out with them. While Nejima muses over whether Takasaki will speak to him as though everything is fine, Ririna beams joyfully at her. A short while later, the two girls are gleefully chatting and appear to be lost in thought. Nejima is merely sitting in a corner and is uncomfortable. Why even invite him? He calls out to Ririna, who remarks that he blends in well with the background and that she had forgotten he was also present. Ouch. Following that, his fiancée innocently requests that they kiss Takasaki. Despite Nejima's protests, Ririna keeps encouraging them. What's the issue if they've done it before? Takasaki makes an excuse that she needs to use the restroom. Nejima reprimands Ririna after the girl leaves the room, and the two begin to joke around. Takasaki tells Nejima she wants to do it when she returns. Ririna tells him not to worry about her as he casts a worried glance her way. She even claims that since they like one another, they can do it whenever they want. Nejima understands she is treating the situation like it's on television show. As the other girl is instructed to pay close attention by Takasaki, Ririna reclines and waits with wide eyes. Nejima pulls away as Takasaki holds his face and moves in closer, just as their lips are about to touch. She laughs at the boy's unease and has a troubled expression on her face when they turn to face Ririna. Takasaki needs to leave, but first she asks Ririna how she felt about what had happened earlier. She tells Ririna that since she is the ideal girl for Nejima, she wants her to fall in love with him. And even if she doesn't feel bothered right now, she might in the future. The shorter girl appears frazzled when she enters her room and begs a concerned Nejima not to touch her. She adamantly reiterates to him that she kisses Misaki every day. The next day, Nejima and his pals have just finished their physical education class. When they encounter Takasaki in class, he observes her and Nisaka exchanging thoughtful glances. He can't help but wonder if Nisaka is concealing something from him after seeing that. He rushes back to class when Takasaki abruptly draws his attention. She apologizes for possibly making him late as they step outside. The girl queries him as to whether Ririna spoke to him about the strange incident. The truth is revealed to her by Nejima. Ririna requested daily kisses from him. Ririna, according to Takasaki, was unable to fully comprehend her. Nejima quickly drags Takasaki behind a pillar after spotting a teacher. He accidentally cave-dons her, and when he realizes where they are, his heart begins to beat more quickly. Takasaki grabs his face and forces their lips together after a brief period of tension. The length of this argumentative exchange causes Nejima to reflect on how challenging it is to keep his emotions under wraps. Unaware Nisaka, however, witnesses them fighting, shocking him. Nejima approaches Nisaka after class and asks if he has any free time. They decide to speak once he's finished because his friend informs him that he has a meeting. He also has something to discuss with him, says Nisaka. Later, Takasaki silently follows Nisaka on his journey with her eyes, and when he arrives in their classroom, he observes Nejima soundly dozing on his desk. He chuckles and clearly shows his friend that he is perplexed. He fixes his gaze on Nejima's lips as he slumbers, enjoying the golden sunlight. Nisaka crouching down, he tenderly places his lips against Nejima's. When Nejima awakens, he sees his friend sitting across from him at a desk. After a few conversations, he asks Nisaka if he likes Takasaki, and the handsome boy replies by inquiring what Nejima would do if he did. Soon after, Nisaka says he's joking, leading to his friend's expression of relief. But after that, Nisaka develops a sad expression in his eyes. What possible meaning could be hidden in his expression? He just stole a kiss from Nejima. Holy cow. There must be more going on here. Nejima's complicated relationship with the two lovely girls is another factor. For more anime recap, click here to subscribe and watch more. Thanks for watching.